Back to basics. That is going to be the topic of this episode of Chi Life. So the inspiration for this video comes from the group that are currently going through the Small Universe Qigong program. It's a quite extensive training program. It's a 200-hour program. It's all run online, where we go through a whole range of really interesting practices, and practices that work with fundamental aspects of our energy. First, simply activating the energy, getting it flowing, and then working with the organ meridians, and then the Dantian and the extraordinary meridians, and then eventually we move out to practices working with the energy in the energy field. And this creates a cycle, a small universe cycle. Much similar to what we see on our planet with water, where there's rain. When we finish activating the energy, it's like the rain falls. That rain then gathers into the rivers flow into the oceans, the ocean currents circulate. That's like the extraordinary meridians. That sends energy into the atmosphere. You then have the clouds and rain, which, the energy in our energy field, which then comes down as rain, and so we have the cycle of energy flowing through our system. And they're beautiful practices. And alongside those practices, we also spend quite a bit of time on real fundamentals of Qigong, really basic things to do with working with our breath, working with our mind and awareness, our posture and stances, and we do a whole series of practices connected to that as well. So yeah, lots of basics in the course, but that in itself is not what inspired me to make this video. It's that this time the group going through the course is a bit different than normal. We do have a bunch of people who are going through it for the very first time, which is cool. But then we also have quite a few people who've done the course before and are going through it again. This time, for the first time, we opened up an opportunity for people to go through the course as a refresher. Now, people going through the course as a refresher, they get a lot of benefit from that because they're able to, at any time, they're able to look back at course materials from when they went through it. So they're able to refresh their memory of what they've learned previously at any time. But during the course, we have Q&As on a regular basis. And we also have group practice sessions. And so by going through it again with another group, there's the opportunity. I'm going downstairs, that's why I keep looking down. They have the opportunity to, going through a group creates that motivation to stay focused and, go through in a structured way, which is really useful. Doing things in a structured way often helps us to stay consistent and to make sure we don't miss things out and, to go through things in depth. So there's that. But then there's all the insights that come from the discussions and the Q&A sessions. And then also, it's a wonderful experience, the group practice sessions connecting together as well. So we've just started, we're a couple of weeks, I think we're getting towards the end, middle of the third week of the course. So we're not too far in, but already just in some of those Q&A sessions, it's been really good, the kind of questions that people have been asking. Because of course, the people who have they're just going through the course for the first time, they have questions about different things, of course, because it's new to them. But also we've been getting really good questions from people who are going through it as a refresher. And some of these people, they may have only done the course maybe a year ago or so. Some of them did it quite a number of years ago, like they might have done it 5 years ago, and they're going through it again. And it's not like they did it 5 years ago and then haven't done the practices since. Some of them have done it, again, whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4, however many years ago, and have been doing the practices since then. But now, as we're going through and refreshing, renewing, they still have questions, and they have different kinds of questions because they've had an opportunity to really do the practices for a while. And now as they revisit them in a structured way, it's an opportunity to examine them and draw different things out. And it's really easy. I mean, The more we practice different practices, of course, we learn more nuance, more detail comes out. And a lot of this can often be simply from just doing the practice, right? Just as we do it, we notice more details, and so our practice becomes refined that way. But it can also be quite easy, even when we're continuing to do a practice, to kind of get into a routine with it and not notice everything that can come out of that. And so, there's a difference between just doing a practice and studying that practice, really looking and examining those details. And so as people are going through this review of the practices, they're noticing like, oh, hey, I noticed this. I have a question about that. I hadn't thought about this before. And so that has been really, really good, because it's easy to, again, once you've done the practices for a long time, to sort of, well, there's a lot in them. Even within apparently very, very simple practices, there's a lot there. There's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of principles embedded within these simple practices. And it's kind of easy to not necessarily overlook them, but forget just how much there is within these simple practices. And coming back to them draws that out. It brings it to the front of your mind, front of your attention, and gives you this richer understanding, richer awareness. So yeah, we've been having some really good discussions, really good questions. Over the last couple of weeks, we've particularly had a lot of good questions, discussions about a very simple breathing practice. It's breathing with the rhythm of the universe. So we're following the natural wave pattern of energy that, all around us, energy moves in waves, and we're using a breathing practice to help harmonize our body's energy with that pattern of the universe. And it's very, very simple, but can have really profound effects in terms of, harmonizing our mind and body with each other and then with the universe around us. And what that does is it then helps us to bridge between conscious and unconscious awareness, which then, obviously, it's a really good skill in general, and really valuable for our rest of our Qigong practice, when we are able to have more of a conscious awareness of things that otherwise would normally be unconscious. Well, we notice a lot more detail and are able to influence things in subtle ways as we work with other practices. We've had some really good discussions on, finer points of this and how it works, and, some of the principles involved. But then also some good discussions about aspects of some other practices as well. So one example of this, one person who's currently going through as a review, again, they've been through the course previously some time ago, and they've been practicing regularly since then within the course, because there's a whole lot of different materials. We really encourage people to practice the same practices in a variety of ways, so that they can notice different details of them and understand them better. And so examples of this is things like doing the practices at different speeds, faster and slower, doing different numbers of repetitions and things like that, because, these small changes actually draw out different aspects of the practice. And so this person who's going through as a review was inspired, as going through it in a structured way, to try doing one of the sets of practices in a different way. And she noticed some really different things, which is cool. And we were able to have a discussion about how doing the practice in a different way does have some different effects and draw different things to our attention. So yeah, it's a really valuable process. Now, this example, it is of specifically some people going through a structured course and using that as a way to go back to basics and look at things in detail. This principle applies to all, everything in our lives, though. It can be very easy once we've got some proficiency with the basics to go, okay, basics are done, I'm carrying on with whatever I'm doing. And to some extent, that's okay, that's natural, of course. But there's real value in going back and re-examining those basics from time to time. It kind of a little bit like getting underneath your house and looking at the foundations, seeing what's going on there. Because there might be some things where you're like, oh, actually, some things in the basics I'm not doing quite the way that I should, and need to adjust it to get the better result. Or at the very least, if not that, because you might be doing them just fine, getting a better understanding so that you have that a more solid foundation for the other things that you're doing. And then you'll tend to get more out of the other things that you're doing as well. Anyway, those were my thoughts today. I thought, might make a video on this because I have been really happy with this group going through. Both the people who are doing the course for the first time and also people who are going through as a review. Yeah, we're having some really good conversations, and that's nice. It's nice to see people gaining more depth and understanding through their practice, through their study. All right, I look forward to seeing you on another vlog soon.